So, South African Airways has a new pilot. Zuks Ramasia has been appointed as the airline's acting CEO following the resignation of Vuyani Jarana. The national carrier is sitting on a debt of over 9 billion rand. So can Ramasia save the troubled SOE? Will South African Airways now be able to attract private funding to get out of its financial troubles is the question. Joining me in studio is Zanele Sabela from South African Transport and Allied Workers Union. Zanele, good evening. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
As Satawa, what are your thoughts on this new appointment?
Well, we thought something like this would happen when the board all of a sudden accepted Jarana's resignation on Sunday. So we thought, like everyone else, that he would stay there until August, but it wasn't meant to be. He's leaving apparently on Monday. So she is an insider and would be familiar with the turnaround strategy, and therefore she will hit the ground running. And at this point, well, it seems that the board is actually taking control of SAA and...
But initially, 4 days ago, when Jarana had actually come out and resigned, you said you weren't happy with his resignation. You wanted him to stay. You said our representatives at SAA had confidence in him. So how do you feel now? By Monday, he'll be gone.
By Monday, he'll be gone. It was a bit of a shock to find out that by Monday, he will actually be gone. It's true, we were very disappointed when we found out that he was leaving. It was actually quite a shock because over the last 18 months, we had had several engagements with him. There were a few disagreements, but we actually thought he would stay and see through his turnaround strategy, and we were looking forward to him breaking even in 2021. So yeah, it came as quite a surprise. But then it would seem that there was a lot happening in the background in terms of him and the board, and this is why now he's not staying until August.
In his resignation letter and the letter afterwards, he cited governance issues, the environment he was operating in as well. He cited the lack of funding. These were some of the reasons he gave for him not being able to carry out that turnaround strategy. Will the new acting or the acting CEO not have the same issues?
So it was quite interesting when we listened to the press conference today. The board was actually emphatic that the shareholder will have to provide the funding to take the turnaround strategy forward. So this is a very interesting one, considering that he was saying that there was no support in terms of funding, there was no funding forthcoming. So, but then they seem to be very serious that no, the shareholder has to provide those funds.
Now, what the workers you represent at South African Airways, when they look at this particular situation, 2011, 9 CEOs, we have an acting CEO at the present moment. The board is actively looking for a CEO locally and internationally as well. Surely this unsettles the workers on the ground.
It does unsettle them, but an issue right now is the fact that they're saying the board is actually saying that they're looking for a CEO domestically and globally. It makes us a bit nervous because the last time we had a global CEO, he actually sold off SAA assets. So that we are very concerned about. And you will know what the Black Management Forum did say earlier this week. And so if we are now looking for someone who's global, what happens to our transformation imperatives, in terms of South Africa? So that is something that is making us a bit nervous, and we would urge them to look internally.
But surely for any turnaround strategy, there will be some job losses. There has to, there must be a give and take from the unions if you want this SOE to make a profit. No profit since 2011. That's a long time.
No profit since 2011, it's true, but you will also know that there was a lot happening during that time. And so in the 18 months that Jarana was there was some form of stability, and that's basically what we're looking for, and we were looking forward to 2021. So we'll see.
What would you like to see? What sort of changes do you want to see take place? What do the people you represent tell you on a daily basis? What's going on there? What are the key things? What would you like to see?
The key things is some of them were actually quite concerned that more and more you're seeing a lot of white males taking up positions senior positions at SAA. This is a bit of a worry considering where we're supposed to be going as a country. There's that. The fact that every now and again we would, another thing that concerned us some time ago was the fact when Jarana told the media that he was thinking of unbundling SAA.
Yeah.
Unbundling equals job losses. So that made us a bit nervous. So we're watching closely. We will be watching closely with the new acting CEO what happens.
Sorry, Zanele, I just want to take a caller. We've got Temba on the line. Temba, you're calling us from the VAR. What are your thoughts on this issue?
Yes, how are you, man?
Good, thank you.
Good. Thanks to the listeners also. My worry is that, now, the way things stand, we are so worried as South Africans. I think it's the time now ANC must accept that they are failing to lead this country, to lead the South Africans also. Now, my surprising is that why Pravin Gordhan, when it comes to become a Minister of Enterprises, all the black CEOs are resigning. And again, South African people, most of South Africans, they are afraid to speak. In fact, we are leading by mafians in this country. People that they only thinking for their pockets and their kids to go to school to overseas and all that. They don't care about the poor, those people. Those people are greedy, are selfish, all of them. They can't always do one thing, looting our country as much as they can because they are in positions.
Temba, thank you so much. We get your thoughts there. And he makes a point. This is something that, has been a part of this conversation because you're looking at two CEOs, Hadebe leaving Eskom as well. Within 2 weeks, then you've got Jarana also resigning from South African Airways. Now the finger has been pointed at maybe the shareholder, as in the public enterprises having, too much control over these SOEs. What are your thoughts on what Temba just said as Satao?
So pointing fingers, it would be very irresponsible of us to actually point the finger at Pravin Gordhan, but it's something that's been said by a lot of people that why is it that he's now Minister of Public Enterprises and all of a sudden everyone is leaving. We will watch very carefully to see what happens. We are mostly concerned about the privatization because that would equal job losses for our members. And so we are watching very closely to see what happens next. It's interesting that the person who's going to be taking over now is a black female, something that someone like me would welcome. But then we'll see how far, who then comes in to take over after her.
I mean, this is a tough ask. It's a tough position. Just, mentally you have to be strong. And you're correct. She, of course, was the heading up operations. And she might be in a better position because she might understand South African Airways a bit better than somebody coming in from the outside. Mm-hmm. Does that give a bit of an advantage, do you think?
Well, she's been there. She's been there while all of these things have been happening. So we hope that gives her a bit. But then because she's acting, we're not sure how long she's going to be there. But like I said before, that she's familiar with the turnaround strategy and therefore she should hit the ground running.
Okay. Turnaround strategy is something that we've been hearing for many, many, many years. I'm sure yourselves, you have a smile on your face right now. Satao, we've been hearing about turnaround strategies from, let's go back to 2011. Why have they not worked?
Okay, so previously it was mentioned, the fact that there is government interference was mentioned quite a lot. But this particular turnaround strategy was what predates Jarana, actually. Mm-hmm. It was put up in 2017. He came in, started working on it, and they are insisting, the board insisted today that it will go on. It will go on after Jarana leaves. So that gives us a bit of hope that...
So there's some sort of continuation.
There is some sort of continuation.
With this same strategy. Mm. We've got Peter, who's calling us from Gauteng. Peter, your thoughts, please. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for taking my call. Okay, personally, I believe that the CEO decided to jump the ship. You see, the SAA, I used to be a manager there. SAA, I was in the recruitment. SAA structure is overbloated. And the unions must come to the reality that if you have to cut on the cost of SAA, you're going to have to look at cutting also, human resources. It's overbloated. I know that the unions are talking about, white managers getting senior positions, etc. But at the bottom structure as well, you have, SAA overbloated. The CEO had to jump the ship on the basis of he's on the same bed with the unions. He was very sympathetic. He had to bite the bullet and make the decision. I mean, if you look at how much is being owed by SAA, how do you continue with that over-bloated structure? Okay, right. And we just heard from the board. The board said we asked him to stay, and he decided to take sick leave, and they said we can't. So the board made an attempt to keep him, and he decided to take sick leave.
All right.
So who's telling the truth here?
All right, Peter, thank you so much. Thanks for your thoughts. Let me get just a quick reaction from Zanele on that one. Overbloated, some jobs will have to be lost at some point, shed at some point. What are your thoughts?
We have a very strong Labour Relations Act in this country. In terms of retrenchments, it's not just something that you do. You consult stakeholders. We sit around the table. We find solutions. And then we will decide at that point. So it is quite premature at this point to be talking about overbloated stuff from someone who is not necessarily in there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Zanele Sabela from the South African Transport and Allied Workers Union. Talking about the new appointment, an acting CEO has been put in place now.